Welcome to the world of daily life stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Enjoy listening. The Encounter. It was a balmy late afternoon in Los Angeles. The golden sunlight spilled over the city, bathing the international airport's private aviation terminal in a warm glow. The terminal was alive with activity, a hive of luxury travelers and bustling staff. Gleaming glass walls reflected the myriad of private jets lined up on the tarmac, each a testament to wealth and privilege. In the midst of this opulence, a modest silver Honda Accord glided into the VIP parking area. Amanda Johnson sat behind the wheel, her calm demeanor betraying no trace of her remarkable achievements. At 38, she was the CEO and founder of Johnson Aviation, one of the fastest-growing private aviation companies in the world. Her ascent to billionaire status had been anything but conventional. A woman of unparalleled grit and vision, Amanda had built her empire from scratch, overcoming obstacles that would have crushed many others. Today was an ordinary business day for Amanda, or so she thought. She stepped out of her car, dressed in a crisp white blouse, tailored navy slacks, and sensible heels. Her natural hair framed her face in elegant curls, exuding confidence and authenticity. As she made her way to the terminal entrance, her focus was on the meeting ahead, a potential partnership with an international conglomerate. But the moment she approached the doors, Amanda sensed the shift in the atmosphere. A tall, burly security guard, his uniform neatly pressed, stood stationed by the entrance. His posture straightened as his eyes locked onto Amanda, scanning her from head to toe. Something in his expression shifted, an unmistakable mix of skepticism and hostility. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said, stepping into her path. His tone was firm, almost condescending. "This area is for private jet passengers only." Amanda paused, taken aback. She tilted her head slightly, meeting his gaze. "I'm aware," she replied evenly, her voice calm but firm. "I have business here." The guard's brow furrowed. "This is a restricted area. I'm going to need to see some identification." Amanda reached into her bag and handed him her ID without hesitation. He glanced at it, his eyes narrowing. "Johnson Aviation?" "Never heard of it," he muttered, his tone dripping with skepticism. He handed the ID back, his demeanor unchanged. "You need to leave. This is for authorized personnel only." Amanda's patience was wearing thin. "I am authorized," she said firmly. "I own one of the jets here." The guard let out a short, derisive laugh. "You own a jet?" "Sure, lady. And I'm the President of the United States." "Look, you're clearly lost. Maybe you're looking for the commercial terminal. It's down the road." A small crowd had begun to gather nearby, airport staff and travelers drawn to the unfolding drama. Amanda could feel their eyes on her, their silent judgments hanging in the air. Taking a deep breath, Amanda straightened her posture. "Call your supervisor," she said, her tone leaving no room for argument. The guard hesitated but finally picked up his radio. A few minutes later, a middle-aged man in a suit arrived, his expression a mix of curiosity and concern. The guard quickly explained the situation, clearly framing Amanda as the problem. The supervisor turned to Amanda. "Ma'am, can you clarify what's going on here?" "I own Johnson Aviation," Amanda explained, her voice steady. "And that includes the jet parked on your tarmac right now. I was on my way to board it when your security guard decided I didn't belong here." The supervisor's face shifted as realization dawned. "Ms. Johnson?" he stammered. "Amanda Johnson? I'm so sorry. There must have been some misunderstanding." But before he could say more, the guard interjected. "Wait, you're telling me she's the owner? Of a private jet? Come on, that's ridiculous." Amanda turned to the guard, her gaze piercing. "Ridiculous? Because of what I look like? Because I don't fit your idea of who belongs here?" The guard's face flushed, but he said nothing. The crowd around them had grown, murmurs spreading like wildfire. The supervisor quickly stepped in, apologizing profusely and escorting Amanda inside. As they walked through the terminal, Amanda could feel the weight of the moment settling on her. What had started as a routine business day had turned into something far more significant. She knew she had to do more than simply shrug this off. This wasn't just about her, it was about every person who had ever been judged, dismissed, or underestimated based on their appearance. As Amanda boarded her jet, her resolve hardened. This encounter wasn't just a moment of personal triumph, it was a call to action. And she was ready to answer it. With the engines roaring to life, Amanda's plane lifted off the ground, carrying her not just to her meeting but toward a new chapter in her journey, a chapter where she would ensure no one else had to endure what she had just experienced. Amanda leaned back in her seat as the jet ascended into the vast expanse of the Los Angeles sky. The hum of the engines filled the cabin, a familiar sound that had once symbolized her hard-earned success, but now felt tainted by the day's events. The confrontation with the security guard played over and over in her mind. It wasn't the first time she had been judged unfairly, and it likely wouldn't be the last. But something about this incident was different. The weight of the stares, the murmurs of disbelief from the onlookers, and the blatant doubt in the guard's voice left her with an unsettling resolve. As the jet cruised at altitude, Amanda stared out of the window, the sprawling city below reduced to a patchwork of lights. Her assistant, Marissa, seated across the aisle, broke the silence. "Amanda," she said softly, her voice tinged with concern. "Are you okay?" That was a lot. Amanda turned to her, her lips pressed into a thin line. "I'm fine," she replied, though her tone betrayed her frustration. "I'm just tired of this." "It's not about me, Marissa. It's about the message people like that guard send every day. How many others get turned away, doubted, or humiliated just because of their skin color, their gender, or the way they look?" Marissa nodded. "You're right. But you built something extraordinary, Amanda. Maybe it's time to use your platform to address it on a larger scale." Amanda's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. Marissa's words planted a seed. She had spent years proving herself in an industry dominated by men, often being the only black woman in the room. She had shattered barriers, but perhaps it wasn't enough to simply exist in those spaces. Maybe it was time to reshape them entirely. The plane touched down in New York City late that evening. Amanda's meeting with the international conglomerate was scheduled for the next morning, but her mind wasn't focused on business. Instead, she spent the night drafting a plan, a vision to address the systemic issues she had faced. By the time dawn broke, Amanda had outlined the foundation for a new initiative. At the meeting, Amanda presented her usual confident demeanor, seamlessly negotiating a partnership that would expand Johnson Aviation's operations into Europe and Asia. The executives were captivated by her sharp intellect and strategic vision, but Amanda's mind remained partly elsewhere. As soon as the meeting concluded, she excused herself, eager to return to Los Angeles and set her plan in motion. Back in her office, Amanda called an emergency meeting with her executive team. The spacious boardroom, with its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, was a reflection of her achievements. Her team, a diverse group of professionals she had carefully assembled over the years, listened intently as she shared her experience at the airport and the broader implications it carried. "We've built something incredible here," Amanda began, her voice steady but passionate. "But I want Johnson Aviation to stand for more than luxury and efficiency. I want us to lead the way in creating an industry that's inclusive and equitable for everyone. Today, we're launching the Sky Access Initiative." The room buzzed with curiosity as Amanda detailed her vision. The initiative would focus on 3 pillars: diversity in hiring, community outreach, and accessibility in private aviation. Johnson Aviation would partner with organizations to provide scholarships and mentorship programs for underrepresented groups pursuing careers in aviation. They would also sponsor community events to inspire young people to dream beyond societal limitations. And, Amanda added, "We're implementing mandatory bias training for all staff, starting with the teams at every airport we work with. No one should ever have to feel the way I did that day." Her team erupted in applause, inspired by her leadership and commitment to change. Amanda's resolve only deepened as the initiative began to take shape. Over the following weeks, the Sky Access initiative garnered widespread attention, with media outlets praising Amanda's efforts to revolutionize the aviation industry. She became a sought-after speaker at conferences, sharing her journey and advocating for systemic change. But not everyone was supportive. Amanda faced backlash from some industry insiders who dismissed her initiative as a publicity stunt. Anonymous online trolls spewed hateful comments, questioning her qualifications and ridiculing her vision. Amanda's team shielded her from the worst of it, but she couldn't escape the whispers at high-profile events or the subtle resistance from certain competitors. One evening, Amanda received an email from a young woman named Jasmine. The subject line read, "Thank you for inspiring me." Intrigued, Amanda opened it. "Dear Ms. Johnson. My name is Jasmine, and I'm a high school senior from Atlanta. I've always dreamed of becoming a pilot, but I didn't think it was possible for someone like me. Then I saw a news story about you and the Sky Access initiative. For the first time, I felt like my dream could become a reality. Thank you for showing me what's possible. With gratitude, Jasmine." Amanda's eyes welled with tears. Jasmine's email reminded her why she had started this journey. She forwarded the message to her team with a note, "This is why we do what we do." Encouraged by the impact of her efforts, Amanda doubled down on the initiative. She personally mentored young women like Jasmine, sharing her story and encouraging them to pursue their ambitions. She also reached out to the supervisor from the Los Angeles airport, proposing a partnership to improve staff training and foster a more inclusive environment. The supervisor readily agreed, eager to rectify the airport's tarnished reputation. Months turned into a year, and the Sky Access initiative began to bear fruit. Diversity within Johnson Aviation's workforce increased significantly, with more women and people of color joining the ranks. The company's community outreach programs inspired countless young people, many of whom pursued careers in aviation. Amanda's efforts even prompted other companies to adopt similar initiatives, sparking a ripple effect across the industry. One afternoon, Amanda received a call from Marissa. "You might want to check the news," she said, her voice brimming with excitement. Amanda turned on the television to see a segment about a groundbreaking aviation summit in Washington, D.C. The reporter announced that Amanda Johnson had been invited to deliver the keynote address, highlighting her transformative impact on the industry. Standing on the stage at the summit a few weeks later, Amanda looked out at the audience, a sea of faces representing the future of aviation. She spoke with conviction, sharing her vision for an industry where anyone, regardless of their background, could soar to new heights. The standing ovation that followed was a testament to the power of her message. After the speech, a man approached her. He was older, his silver hair neatly combed, and his suit impeccably tailored. Amanda recognized him instantly, the security guard from the Los Angeles airport. "Ms. Johnson," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "I don't know if you remember me, but I was the guard who," he trailed off, his eyes filled with remorse. "I remember," Amanda replied, her tone measured. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I judged you unfairly that day. Seeing what you've accomplished, what you've done for this industry. I'm ashamed of how I treated you." Amanda studied him for a moment before extending her hand. "Thank you for saying that," she said. "But this isn't about me. It's about creating a world where no one has to endure what I did. Let's work together to make that happen." The man nodded, a mixture of gratitude and admiration in his eyes. As he walked away, Amanda felt a sense of closure. The encounter had come full circle, not as a moment of vindication but as a step toward reconciliation and progress. Amanda's journey was far from over, but she knew she was on the right path. The challenges she faced had only strengthened her resolve, and the lives she touched fueled her determination. As she boarded her jet that evening, Amanda looked out at the horizon, the sky ablaze with the colors of the setting sun. She smiled, ready to continue her mission, to ensure that the sky was truly the limit for everyone. Amanda returned to Los Angeles with a renewed sense of purpose. The ripples of her Sky Access initiative were spreading faster than she could have anticipated. Yet, With the spotlight came challenges she hadn't foreseen. Amanda's life had always been about breaking barriers, but now she found herself navigating a new maze of obstacles, ones that were far more insidious than blatant discrimination. It wasn't just about her vision anymore, it was about ensuring the momentum of change didn't falter. The day after her return, Amanda was in her office, her desk cluttered with documents, proposals, and messages of support, alongside criticism. Marissa walked in, her usual composed demeanor replaced by a look of concern. "Amanda," she began, hesitating. "You need to see this." She handed Amanda a tablet with a news article displayed prominently. The headline read, "Is Sky Access just a PR stunt? Industry insiders weigh in." Below the headline were quotes from anonymous sources, questioning the sustainability of the initiative and even Amanda's motives. Amanda sighed, placing the tablet on her desk. "I expected this," she said, her voice steady. "Change makes people uncomfortable. Some will resist it, no matter what. But these criticisms are getting louder," Marissa pressed. "And now there are whispers that some of our competitors are actively lobbying against us. They're claiming the initiative is giving us an unfair advantage by appealing to public sentiment." Amanda leaned back in her chair, her mind racing. She had anticipated resistance, but this felt personal. It wasn't just about her company's practices, it was about dismantling the status quo, and those who benefited from it weren't going to let that happen without a fight. "Schedule a press conference," Amanda said finally. "It's time to address this head-on." 2 days later, Amanda stood behind a podium at a packed press conference. Cameras flashed, and journalists buzzed with anticipation. Dressed in a sleek navy suit, Amanda exuded confidence, though the weight of the moment was palpable. "Thank you all for being here," she began, her voice clear and commanding. "I've seen the headlines and heard the criticisms. Let me be clear, the Sky Access initiative is not a stunt. It is a commitment to creating a more inclusive and equitable aviation industry. Change is never easy, and it's rarely comfortable. But it is necessary." She paused, letting her words sink in. "To those who question our motives, I invite you to join us. Come see the impact we're making. Meet the young people who now see a future in aviation because of this initiative. Talk to the employees who feel empowered by a workplace that values diversity. This is not about gaining an advantage. It's about doing what's right." The room erupted in applause, but Amanda knew this was just one battle in a much larger war. After the press conference, her phone buzzed incessantly with messages of support, inquiries from potential partners, and, predictably, more criticism. Yet, among the noise, one email stood out. It was from an unexpected sender, Richard Hayes, the CEO of Aero Global, one of Johnson Aviation's biggest competitors. "Amanda, I've been following your initiative closely. While we may be competitors, I can't deny the importance of what you're doing. I'd like to meet and discuss how Aero Global can support the Sky Access initiative. Let's set aside rivalry for a moment and focus on what matters. Best. Richard." Amanda stared at the email, a mix of surprise and skepticism. Richard Hayes was known for his cutthroat tactics, and his sudden interest felt out of character. Still, Amanda was not one to shy away from potential allies, even unlikely ones. A week later, Amanda found herself in a sleek conference room at Aero Global's headquarters. Richard Hayes, a tall man with sharp features and a polished demeanor, greeted her warmly. "Amanda," he said, extending his hand. "Thank you for meeting with me. I'll get straight to the point. Your initiative is impressive, and I believe it has the potential to reshape our industry. But you can't do it alone." Amanda raised an eyebrow. "And you want to help?" Richard smiled. "Aero Global has resources and influence that could amplify your efforts. I'm proposing a partnership. Together, we can create a unified front that pushes for industry-wide change." Amanda studied him carefully. His proposal sounded genuine, but she couldn't ignore the possibility that he had ulterior motives. "I appreciate your offer," she said finally. "But I need to know this isn't just about optics for Aero Global. If we do this, it has to be for the right reasons. Richard nodded. Fair enough. Let me prove it to you. AeroGlobal is hosting an industry summit next month. I'd like you to be the keynote speaker and present the Sky Access initiative to the entire aviation community. Let them hear your vision firsthand. Amanda hesitated. The summit would be a significant platform, but it also meant stepping into a lion's den of skeptics and critics. Still, she knew the importance of seizing the opportunity. I'll do it, she said finally. But I'll hold you to your word, Richard. This has to be about more than just talk. Over the next month, Amanda and her team worked tirelessly to prepare for the summit. The pressure was immense, but the stakes were too high to falter. When the day of the summit arrived, Amanda stood backstage, her heart pounding as she listened to the hum of the audience. Marissa placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You've got this, she said. Amanda nodded, taking a deep breath before stepping onto the stage. The room was filled with industry leaders, journalists, and stakeholders, all waiting to hear what she had to say. Good morning, Amanda began, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. Today, we stand at a crossroads. The aviation industry has long been a symbol of innovation and progress, yet it has also been a reflection of the inequalities that persist in our society. The Sky Access initiative is not just about changing our industry, it's about setting a precedent for what's possible when we prioritize inclusion and equity. She spoke passionately about the initiative's impact, sharing stories of individuals whose lives had been transformed. She addressed the criticisms head-on, challenging the audience to move beyond skepticism and become part of the solution. By the time she finished, the room was silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. Then, one by one, the audience rose to their feet, applauding with a fervor that took Amanda by surprise. Among them was Richard Hayes, his expression one of genuine admiration. After the summit, Amanda was inundated with offers of support and collaboration. The momentum she had built was undeniable, and for the first time, she felt a glimmer of hope that real, lasting change was within reach. But as Amanda celebrated the milestone, she knew the journey was far from over. The road ahead would be filled with challenges, but she was ready to face them head-on. With every barrier she broke, she paved the way for others to follow, proving that the sky truly was the limit. Amanda's speech at the summit reverberated across the aviation industry like a seismic shift. For the first time, leaders who had once dismissed her as an idealist began to see her as a force for change. Media outlets lauded her keynote, and articles described the Sky Access initiative as a blueprint for reshaping not just aviation but corporate culture as a whole. Yet, as the applause faded and Amanda returned to her day-to-day operations, the reality of the uphill battle became even clearer. A few days after the summit, Amanda sat in her office overlooking downtown Los Angeles. The skyline's beauty felt like a constant reminder of how far she'd come, but the stack of reports on her desk reminded her of how much further she had to go. As part of the Sky Access initiative, Johnson Aviation had pledged to open 15 aviation training centers in underserved communities across the country within the next year. While the commitment was ambitious, Amanda refused to compromise on her vision. Her phone buzzed, breaking her concentration. It was Marissa, her assistant, who sounded unusually tense. Amanda, you need to see this, Marissa said, her voice low. I'm sending you a link. Amanda clicked on the link Marissa sent, which opened a video clip. It featured an anonymous whistleblower from a competing aviation company making bold claims that the Sky Access initiative was a cover for unethical business practices. The individual alleged that Amanda's company was cutting corners, exploiting loopholes, and using the initiative to distract from these supposed infractions. The accusations were baseless, but Amanda knew that in the court of public opinion, perception often mattered more than truth. We need to get ahead of this, Amanda said, standing abruptly. Call a team meeting. Now. Within the hour, her executive team gathered in the boardroom. Marissa had already prepared a summary of the allegations, and the tension in the room was palpable. These claims are completely unfounded, Amanda began, addressing the room. But we can't afford to ignore them. We need to act swiftly and transparently. Her chief operating officer, Daniel, spoke up. We should consider hiring a third-party auditor to review our operations. It'll prove that we have nothing to hide. Amanda nodded. Good idea. Let's also hold a press conference to address this directly. I'll make a statement and take questions. Transparency is our best defense. Over the next few days, Amanda's team worked tirelessly to implement the plan. They hired one of the most reputable auditing firms in the country and opened their books for review. At the same time, Amanda prepared for the press conference, knowing that every word she said would be scrutinized. The press conference was held at Johnson Aviation's headquarters. The room was packed with journalists, and the air buzzed with anticipation. Amanda stood at the podium, her confidence unwavering, despite the circumstances. Thank you all for being here, she began. Recently, baseless allegations have been made against my company and the Sky Access Initiative. Let me be clear, these claims are false. Johnson Aviation has always operated with integrity, and we stand by our commitment to transparency. She went on to announce the hiring of the third-party auditor and pledged to make the findings public. We have nothing to hide, she said firmly. And we will not let unfounded accusations derail our mission. The Q&A session that followed was intense, with reporters pressing Amanda on every detail. But she remained composed, answering each question with clarity and conviction. By the end of the conference, she had not only defended her company's reputation but also reinforced her position as a leader who refused to back down in the face of adversity. While the press conference helped to quell some of the immediate backlash, Amanda knew that the true test would be the results of the audit. Over the next month, the auditors conducted a thorough review of Johnson Aviation's operations. The process was grueling, but Amanda's team cooperated fully, providing every document and record requested. Meanwhile, Amanda continued to focus on the Sky Access Initiative. She traveled to various cities, meeting with community leaders and educators to finalize plans for the training centers. At each stop, she was greeted by young people who shared how the initiative had inspired them to dream bigger. Their stories reminded Amanda of why she had embarked on this journey and fueled her determination to keep going. One particularly memorable visit was to a high school in Chicago. Amanda had been invited to speak to a group of students about her career and the Sky Access Initiative. As she stood in the auditorium, looking out at the sea of eager faces, she felt a surge of emotion. When I was your age, she began, I never imagined I'd one day own a private aviation company. I grew up in a neighborhood where opportunities felt limited, and the idea of flying, let alone owning a jet, seemed like a distant dream. But I'm here to tell you that no dream is too big if you're willing to work for it. The students hung on her every word, and when she finished, the room erupted in applause. Afterward, a young girl named Tasha approached her. Ms. Johnson, Tasha said shyly, I want to be a pilot one day, but I'm scared I won't make it. People tell me it's too hard. Amanda knelt to Tasha's level, her eyes filled with empathy. Tasha, don't let anyone tell you what you can or can't do. The path might be hard, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. And when you face challenges, remember that you're not alone. There are people like me, and so many others who believe in you and want to see you succeed. Tasha's eyes lit up, and Amanda felt a renewed sense of purpose. It was moments like this that reminded her why the Sky Access Initiative mattered. Finally, the day came when the auditors released their findings. The report was comprehensive and unequivocal. Johnson Aviation's operations were entirely above board, and the Sky Access Initiative was a genuine effort to promote diversity and inclusion in the industry. Amanda's team immediately shared the findings with the public, silencing critics and vindicating their efforts. The report's release marked a turning point. With her integrity reaffirmed, Amanda found herself with even more support than before. New partners and investors approached her, eager to be part of the initiative. Even Richard Hayes, who had initially been skeptical, publicly praised her leadership. Despite the victory, Amanda knew there was still much work to be done. The Sky Access Initiative was just the beginning. She envisioned a future where the aviation industry was a model of inclusivity and innovation, and she was determined to make that vision a reality. As Amanda sat in her office late one evening, reviewing plans for the next phase of the initiative, she felt a sense of peace. The journey had been arduous, but every challenge had only strengthened her resolve. She looked out at the city lights, a reminder of the limitless possibilities ahead. With a smile, she turned back to her work, ready to continue building a legacy that would inspire generations to come. The months following the release of the audit report marked a new chapter for Amanda Johnson and the Sky Access Initiative. Vindicated and emboldened, Amanda pushed forward with plans that were even more ambitious than before. The initiative had not only weathered the storm but had grown stronger because of it. Communities across the nation began to see Johnson Aviation as a beacon of opportunity and change. But as the initiative's success expanded, so did the scale of the challenges Amanda faced. Amanda found herself traveling constantly. From breaking ground at the first aviation training center in Atlanta to attending global conferences on equity in corporate leadership, she was becoming a symbol of transformation on an international scale. While she thrived on the momentum, the demands of her role began to weigh on her. Despite the team she had built and the systems she had put in place, Amanda often felt the burden of carrying an entire movement on her shoulders. One evening, Amanda arrived in Detroit for a fundraising gala hosted by a group of corporate leaders who had expressed interest in partnering with Johnson Aviation. The ballroom of the downtown hotel was stunning, filled with industry executives, philanthropists, and community leaders. Yet Amanda couldn't shake the feeling of unease as she scanned the room. Throughout the evening, she mingled with guests, delivering her signature combination of charm and intellect. Many praised the initiative, offering their congratulations and support. But others, while polite, seemed skeptical, questioning how sustainable such an ambitious program could be. One man in particular, an influential CEO named Robert Wilkes, approached her during the dinner. "Ms. Johnson," he began, his tone measured but condescending. "You've certainly made waves with your initiative. But tell me, how do you plan to keep this going? Programs like these often fizzle out once the spotlight fades." Amanda's expression remained calm, but her voice carried an edge. "Mr. Wilkes, this isn't about chasing the spotlight. It's about creating lasting change. The Sky Access Initiative is built on sustainable partnerships and tangible results. And with respect, it's not going to fizzle out because too many people, including myself, are invested in its success." Robert raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised by her assertiveness. Before he could respond, another guest interrupted, steering the conversation elsewhere. Amanda's heart pounded, but she remained composed, knowing encounters like this came with the territory. As the night wore on, she reflected on how much her resilience had grown. Moments like this no longer felt like insurmountable battles, they were simply steps in her journey. Back in Los Angeles, the first of the aviation training centers was nearing completion. Located in a historically underserved neighborhood, the center was a state-of-the-art facility designed to inspire and empower future aviators. Amanda visited the site often, speaking with the architects and community leaders to ensure the center reflected her vision. She insisted on incorporating features like mentorship spaces, interactive exhibits on aviation history, and areas dedicated to celebrating the contributions of underrepresented groups to the field. The grand opening was a celebration unlike anything Amanda had ever experienced. Hundreds of people gathered for the ribbon-cutting ceremony, including students, educators, local leaders, and even a few of Amanda's most vocal critics. As she stood at the podium, the weight of the moment settled on her. This was more than just a building, it was a symbol of what could be achieved when vision met determination. "This training center is not just a facility," Amanda said, her voice steady but emotional. "It's a promise. A promise that no dream is too big and no barrier is too strong. To the young people here today, know this, the sky is not the limit. It's just the beginning." The crowd erupted in applause, and Amanda felt a wave of pride and gratitude. She spent hours after the ceremony meeting attendees, listening to their stories, and sharing in their hopes for the future. Among them was a young boy named Malik, who approached her with wide eyes and a shy smile. "Ms. Johnson," he said, clutching a small notebook. I want to be an engineer when I grow up. Do you think I can build planes one day? Amanda knelt to his level, her smile radiant. Malik, not only can you build planes, but I'll be first in line to fly on one of them. Keep dreaming big and working hard, and you'll do incredible things. Moments like this reaffirmed Amanda's mission. But even as she celebrated the progress, she knew the work was far from over. She had always understood that real change required persistence, and she was prepared to fight for it every step of the way. A few weeks later, Amanda received an invitation to a private meeting in Washington, D.C., with members of the Federal Aviation Administration and other government officials. The meeting was intended to discuss potential policy changes that could make the aviation industry more inclusive. Amanda's role as a leader in this movement made her a key voice in the conversation. The meeting was intense, filled with debates over regulations, funding, and the feasibility of nationwide initiatives. Amanda, however, held her ground, presenting data and sharing stories that underscored the importance of systemic change. By the end of the day, she had gained a tentative commitment from the officials to explore pilot programs based on the Sky Access initiative. As Amanda left the meeting, she couldn't help but feel a mix of exhaustion and triumph. The stakes were higher than ever, but so were the opportunities. She knew that every small victory was a step toward the larger goal of reshaping the industry. One evening, as Amanda sat in her office reviewing plans for the next training center, she received an unexpected phone call. It was from Jasmine, the young woman who had emailed her months earlier after being inspired by the initiative. "Ms. Johnson," Jasmine said, her voice brimming with excitement. "I just wanted to thank you. I've been accepted into a flight school program, and it's all because of you and the Sky Access initiative." Amanda's heart swelled with pride. "Jasmine, that's incredible news. But remember, you did this. Your hard work and determination made it happen. I'm so proud of you." After the call ended, Amanda sat back, reflecting on how far the initiative had come. The road ahead was still long, but moments like this reminded her why she had started. She thought of all the young people like Jasmine and Malik whose lives were being transformed. They were the future, and they were worth every challenge she faced. As Amanda looked out at the city lights that night, she felt a profound sense of purpose. The journey was far from over, but she was ready. With every step forward, she was building more than an aviation empire, she was building a legacy of hope, resilience, and possibility. And as long as she had breath in her body, she would continue to fight for a world where everyone had the chance to soar.